Red Bull makes over $10 billion a year. They own 2 Formula One racing teams, multiple soccer clubs, a music academy, a record label, a TV station, a magazine, a streaming service, and they literally sent a man to the edge of space and had 8 million people watch him jump. And here's the crazy part. The energy drink? That's just the side business. Red Bull isn't a beverage company that does marketing. It's a media empire that funds itself by selling cans of caffeine. And the man who built it turned a Thai truck driver drink into the greatest brand-building story ever told. Let me explain. In 1982, Dietrich Mateschitz was a 38-year-old marketing executive for a German toothpaste company called Blendax. He'd spent 10 years getting his degree, worked selling detergents for Unilever, and was now traveling through Asia trying to sell oral care products. By all accounts, his career was unremarkable. Then one day, arriving in Bangkok after a brutal 14-hour flight, exhausted and jet-lagged, his local distributor offered him a drink called Krating Dang, which translates to Red Bull in Thai. Mateschitz later recalled, "1 glass and the jet lag was gone." The drink was syrupy sweet, medicinal tasting, and popular with Thai truck drivers and factory workers who needed to stay awake. Most people would have just thanked their host and moved on. But Mateschitz became obsessed. On every subsequent trip to Bangkok, his first stop was to buy bottles of Krating Daeng. Then he read an article about how Taisho Pharmaceutical, the maker of a similar drink called Lipovitan D, had become Japan's biggest taxpayer. That's when the light bulb went off. Mateschitz saw an opportunity that nobody else did. This drink could work in Europe, not despite its terrible taste and weird packaging, but because of it. In 1984, at age 40, Mateschitz quit his job and approached Chaleo Yuvidya, the Thai businessman who created Krating Daeng, with a partnership proposal. Each would invest $500,000 and own 49% of a new company called Red Bull GmbH, with Chaleo's son holding the remaining 2%. The deal was simple. Chaleo would handle production. Mateschitz would handle everything else. When Mateschitz tried to raise outside funding, every single investor laughed him out of the room. The drink tasted bad. It cost 3 times more than Coke. The can was small and weird looking. Market research firms said it would fail catastrophically. As one consultant put it, there was no market for Red Bull. Mateschitz's response? There is no market for Red Bull. We will create one. And he did, but not in the way anyone expected. Red Bull launched in Austria in 1987. Instead of competing with Coca-Cola or Pepsi on taste or price, Mateschitz did something radical. He made Red Bull expensive, kept the medicinal taste, and positioned it as fuel for extreme performance. The slogan "Red Bull gives you wings" wasn't about refreshment, it was about transcending human limitations. But here's where Mateschitz's genius really shows. Most companies outsource production and keep marketing in-house. Red Bull did the exact opposite. They outsourced everything, manufacturing and distribution, and kept only sales and marketing under their control. Why? Because Mateschitz understood something profound. The drink itself was a commodity. Any company could make caffeinated sugar water. The only thing that mattered was the story you told about it. So Mateschitz started telling stories, not through TV commercials or magazine ads, but through events, athletes, and content. Red Bull began sponsoring extreme sports athletes, snowboarders, cliff divers, street racers, anyone doing something that seemed impossible. Then they started creating their own events. The Red Bull Air Race, Red Bull Rampage, Red Bull Flug Tag. Thousands of events across every imaginable extreme sport. And here's the brilliant part. Red Bull owns all the media rights to their events. They produce the content, they film it, and then they give it away for free to broadcasters and streaming platforms. Most companies would charge for that content. Red Bull realized that giving it away multiplies their advertising reach exponentially while keeping their brand at the center of everything. By 2007, Mateschitz had taken this strategy to its logical extreme. He founded Red Bull Media House, turning Red Bull into a full-fledged media company. They started producing TV shows, films, documentaries, and magazines. They launched Red Bull TV, a streaming service. They created Red Bull Records, a music label. They even bought a society magazine in Austria, allegedly just to make sure he never appeared in it because Mateschitz valued privacy above almost everything else. In 2004, Red Bull bought the failing Jaguar Formula One team from Ford for literally $1. People thought Mateschitz was insane. Formula One teams lose hundreds of millions of dollars, but Mateschitz didn't care about profit in traditional terms. He said, "In literal financial terms, our sports teams are not yet profitable, but in value terms, they are. The total editorial media value plus the media assets created around the teams are superior to pure advertising expenditures." Translation: owning F1 teams generates billions in brand exposure that you couldn't buy with traditional advertising. And he was right. Red Bull Racing has won multiple championships, and the team generates more media value than it costs to run. In 2005, they bought a second team, Toro Rosso, now called AlphaTauri, to serve as a junior development squad. They didn't stop there. Red Bull owns the New York Red Bull soccer team, RB Leipzig in Germany, Red Bull Salzburg in Austria. They even tried to buy a team in Brazil, but were blocked by regulations against corporate team names. The pattern is clear. Red Bull doesn't sponsor sports, they own them. But the ultimate expression of Red Bull's strategy came on October 14th, 2012, when Felix Baumgartner stood at the edge of space, 128,000 feet above Earth, and said, "I know the whole world is watching now." He was right. 8 million people watched the live stream as Baumgartner jumped from a capsule suspended by a helium balloon, broke the sound barrier in free fall, and parachuted safely to Earth. The Red Bull Stratos project cost $30 million and took 7 years to plan. Critics questioned whether it was worth it. Then the numbers came in: 8 million concurrent live viewers, a record at the time for YouTube. Over 200 million cumulative views, billions in earned media value, a 7% sales increase in the following 6 months, adding approximately $500 million in revenue. And most importantly, the jump perfectly embodied Red Bull's slogan. It literally gave someone wings. Mateschitz later called Stratos our most important line extension so far. Not a new flavor, not a new product, a man jumping from space. Because to Mateschitz, Red Bull was never about the drink. It was about creating a lifestyle, an identity, a culture that people wanted to be part of. And the business model works spectacularly. Red Bull sells over 12 billion cans annually across 175 countries, generating more than $10 billion in revenue. They employ just 7,758 people, which means over $667,000 in revenue per employee. One of the highest ratios in any industry. Their profit margins are astronomical because they've outsourced everything except the valuable part, the brand. Today, Red Bull commands 43% of the $15 billion global energy drink market, despite costing more and arguably tasting worse than competitors like Monster or Rockstar. Why? Because people aren't buying caffeine, they're buying association with the impossible. They're buying the story. Mateschitz died in October 2022 at age 78 with a net worth of $27.4 billion. His son Mark inherited the 49% stake, becoming Europe's wealthiest millennial overnight. But Mateschitz's real legacy isn't the money. It's proving that in the 21st century, content is king, and the best way to sell a product is to stop trying to sell it. So the next time you see a Red Bull can, remember, you're not looking at an energy drink. You're looking at a piece of merchandise from one of the world's most successful media companies. Red Bull didn't just give you wings. They gave every brand in the world a blueprint for how to transcend their product category and become something bigger. And that might be the most valuable thing Dietrich Mateschitz ever created.